Hello, everybody. Welcome to my after party, the Epic Collection after party. I hope you had a great time learning all about those announcements that we just announced over on the near mint condition live stream. We had a lot to talk about, and now I want to talk about it with you. I want to know what you thought about all of these announcements. I see that there are lots of people gathered in the chat already there. Welcome, everyone. Um, let's let's see. I'm going to share my screen just so that we can take a look at these announcements, just in case you missed the other live stream. We'll start off right off the bat here. Um, I'm just gonna do a quick rundown, and then we can get to talking about this stuff here. We got some reprints in September. Reprints on Avengers, the Collection Obsession and Wolverine Volume 2 Back to Basics. Then the new books include Star Wars Legends Epic Collection New Republic Volume 6. Conan the Barbarian Epic Collection Volume 6 Vengeance in Ascalon. You can pause the video if you need to read these contents a little in more detail on the repeat, I guess. Venom Epic Collection Volume 5 Carnage Unleashed. Well, we're going to talk about this one. I have a lot to say about this volume here. Moon Knight Epic Collection Volume 4 Butcher's Moon, finally getting into the Mark Spector era. So that's pretty good, isn't it? And in October, we have a couple of reprints. We have Thor War being reprinted and Fall of the Pantheon, this Incredible Hulk epic is being reprinted. And a couple of new books here too. King Conan Chronicles Volume 2, Wolves and Dragons. Deadpool Volume 2, Mission Improbable. Thor Volume 21, Blood and Thunder. Incredible Hulk Volume 7, and now the Wolverine. And then in November, we have a couple of reprints as well. Iron Fist is getting another edition, and Iron Man Return of the Ghost is coming back as well. And then some new stuff, Star Wars The Rebellion Volume 5. Iron Man Volume 18, The Return of Tony Stark. X-Men Volume 21, Executioner's Song. And then in December, we have some new books as well. Day of the Defenders, Volume 1 of the Defenders. Silver Surfer Volume 5, The Return of Thanos. X-Force, this is a mistake, I meant to write Volume 8, Armageddon Now. And Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection Volume 24, Invasion of the Spider Slayers. And then a couple of complete collections as well. Reprint of Wolverine by Daniel Way Volume 2. We have Peter Porker, The Spectacular Spider-Ham, which has been resolicited to September. And a reprint, this is a reprint of She-Hulk by Sewell and Polito. And Tomb of Dracula Volume 6, which is very exciting for me. And Iron Man Heroes Return Complete Collection Volume 2. Okay, so that's all we have here. Let's talk about some of these. I'm going to put... Let's see here. I need to find the link, because I'm going to invite people who want to come into the studio here and chat with me. I'll put that in the chat. There you go. There's the link. If you want to come and be on my chat with me and talk about what epic collections you are so excited about, then you can let me know. Let's see what are people saying here. Tommy says, I'm worried about the lack of info regarding Master of Kung Fu Volume 3. That is me too. I have no idea what's going on in there. Marvel's being very cagey and not really answering any of those questions about what's happening with Master of Kung Fu. A bunch of us are wondering if the license has expired, maybe. I don't know. Big Viz, my guess for Final X-Force, they leave Milligan out. So that would be my guess as well. And they jump straight to the 2004 Liefeld Mini, and it also include Liefeld Shatterstar. The traditional team doesn't appear anywhere else during whatever the comment is cut off there. But I would have to agree with you. I think that Ecstatics is, because it's such a radically different book, makes sense to stop it right there. There is probably just enough material for all of that you just said. The Counter X stuff plus the Liefeld Mini and the Shatterstar Mini. It's a good guess. What do I do with my X-Force Volume 2 now that X-Men 21 is coming out? Well, if you only bought that, I mean, I guess it depends on if you're trying to be completist, because this book, X-Force Volume 2, still has Cable Blood and Metal numbers 1 and 2, and New Warriors number 31, Strife's Strike File, and X-Force number 19. So both of those books are going to have material that are not in the other. Is that why Marvel's been pumping us so much Conan lately? Because of the licensing stuff? It could be. If there's a, it depends on what the contracts are. If there's a licensing window, like the licensing agreement is going to expire in 2025 or something like that, then they're going to try and get as much Conan stuff out as possible. The Moon Knight cover looks sick. Yes, I agree. Really, really great. Taylor Talks Comics says, Kurtis, after those announcements, what is still your most wanted new epic line and most wanted epic from an existing line? Boy, man, good questions. I still really want an Alpha Flight and Spectacular Spider-Man epic lines to be started. That would be great, because my number one for the longest time was Generation X, but now that we've got that, that's fine. That's out of the way. But what's the most wanted volume from an existing line already? Wow, that's a great question. I'm going to have to think about that. I'm not exactly sure. But I've got Philip on the stream here. Hi, Philip. How are you?
Evening, Kurtis.
Evening for you. Good morning for me. It's great that you are here and a part of this. I know that you've been keeping close track on all of the epic news. I love that you figured out an algorithm to find some of the hidden files in the Hachette website.
Didn't get lucky this time.
Well, that's because they kind of literally finalized all of these announcements on Tuesday, and so I don't think they've even had time to pump this info out to the other websites. We are getting a very, very current exclusive here.
Yeah, some very exciting stuff here today.
It says, holy crap, someone's already updating Wikipedia. That's awesome.
It isn't me.
That's amazing. Oh boy. Okay, what are you most excited for here, Philip? Which ones are you most excited for?
The X-Men book is like, woo! I love my X-Men, and I can remember buying these right out the gate when they came out. The Defenders book, fabulous. We were looking forward to them getting back to the Defenders and starting things off. So we've had to wait a bit for the first omnibus. Hopefully we can go from here, because I really, really want to get into the Steve Gerber run of Defenders. It's some of my favorite comics. It's some of the earliest things I ever read, and I think they're wonderful. The Silver Surfer was a little bit of a surprise. Because Parable got delayed into April. And I thought, well, maybe that might kibosh things for Surfer for the rest of the year. But getting the next volume already, woo!
Yeah, this is great, because it fills in this gap. So we've got such a nice, solid run of Silver Surfer, and there aren't that many volumes to go left of Silver Surfer. There's, of course, Volume 2, the classic Stanley Buscema stuff, but after, it's like through the 90s, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 more volumes that we gotta get.
Well, there's volume 8 that we thought was coming this time last year.
Yep.
Which should be 67 to 75 in the Homecoming graphic novel.
8. Oh yeah, and then this one is 13. So yeah, we've got 8 through 12 that we still need to get to. So I guess we've still got a few more years to go on Silver Surfer.
Yeah, and there's 9's out, so 10 to 12 and 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to go.
Yep. And if they do just one a year, like they have been, I guess that's still 6 more years to go. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, here's a good comment. How come no love for Ant-Man, Fury, or Marvel 2-in-1?
Wow.
Great question. I have a few guesses. Ant-Man, they Ant-Man is still in print. I think it must not have sold very well, so they are in no hurry to get a second volume of Ant-Man out there. Um, my guess is that now that it's finally kind of getting down to the bottom of the print run of the first volume, we'll probably hopefully see it when Ant-Man 3 comes out. Fingers crossed. Fury also is another book that just doesn't sell well for them. The Masterworks even stopped at volume 4, right? And if the Masterworks, their like premier line, isn't going to do it or isn't going to continue, then I don't know that there's a lot of hope for other stuff as well. Um, Fingers crossed about that one too, because that would be great. Marvel 2-in-1's coming because we have that cover already. We've seen the cover. They've just delayed, and I can say that they Marvel had a whole bunch of books in this. Omar told me that they had some books in this round of announcements that they had to push aside and shove aside. I know that they've been planning Moon Knight Volume 4 for a long time, but that one kept getting pushed. And now I think probably Marvel 2-in-1 is in the same boat. It will come, but it's going to be a little while still.
Yeah. I'm having a look at my pictures from earlier and trying to remember if there's anything else I really liked. The Hulk's good because we were expecting that, and it's got the first Wolverine in it.
Yeah.
So very pleased to see that. The Iron Man clarifies the situation there a little because there was a small gap of issues. Sorry, I'm talking too quick.
That's okay.
There's the Hulk. Yeah, so we got the first Wolverine in there, which I might have a few times already. But the Iron Man, which I think is not too far on.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah, we had a 2 volume gap there between 17 and 20. It's not that many issues, and we couldn't quite see how it's split. So,
well, there is a
I think,
crossover in there, the Crash and Burn story.
yeah,
So we'll see if that should bulk it up a little bit.
yeah. I think there might be a few people that are disappointed to see that because there are a lot of us out there that want the Denny O'Neil stuff finished with Iron Man Epic 12.
Yeah, I agree. Because those are some of the first Iron Man epics to come out. It has been literally several years since those old O'Neill issues came out, and especially with O'Neill's passing, I would have thought that they would have tried to, pay a little tribute to him by releasing some of his material, but they did not do that.
Yeah,
I guess he's no George Perez.
Trying to find that Iron Man volume and see when it came out, and I can't remember for the life of me.
Here's a comment. With Volume 1 of Defenders coming out, do you think that if it sells well, Marvel can try publishing 2 volumes of Defenders a year, or will they just do 1 per year until they catch up with Volume 6? My guess is they'll stick with 1 volume per year. I don't think that they're in any great hurry to finish any of these lines. They'll do 2 years for the biggest names, the biggest superheroes, but Defenders is unfortunately not one of those names.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been waiting for that Iron Man since 2016.
There you go. Wow. Yep.
So there we are. There we are. But yeah, Defenders is the exciting one, I think. The Star Wars New Republic. I love the Crimson Empire stuff. That's great. So
Yeah.
very pleased to see that.
Here's a comment for you, Phil. This one, Rebel by Design, says, if you break Hachette, you better drop in the Alf epic files. Do it.
Oh,
What a promotion that would cost.
I can get the images out. I can't put them in. No, it's not a hard thing to do when you know how. We know from the old days. We know what a Hachette URL looks like, and if you've got the ISBNs for the books, you can work it. You can find the other books, and if you know what you're doing with your maths, you can work out the ISBNs. And we were talking in the wake of the last set of releases, and Kurtis jokingly said to me, "Try all the numbers," and I sat down and thought about it.
And he actually did it.
Actually,
I couldn't believe
and
he actually did it.
I came up with a way of doing it, and the first number I put in, I struck absolute gold and found that Marvel 2-in-1 cover.
Oh man, yeah, that was pretty good. I loved it. That was
There we go.
fantastic.
Yeah, I've got to run, mate. My dinner's ready.
Okay, thanks for joining.
Cool. Take care. I'll see you later.
Bye. Look at this comment here with all of these volume 2s: Ant-Man, Fury, Marvel 2-in-1, Namor, Luke Cage, Silver Surfer, and Doctor Strange. They all need their volume 2s. Can you believe that? I would love to see some of those volume 2s come out. Oh yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the Venom one, because this is the one that was surprising because they jumped all the way to volume 5. So chronologically, after volume 2, the next Venom material would be, I believe, the Carnage origin story, the 3-part Carnage origin story. And since we were getting that in the Carnage Epic Collection, I wasn't sure if we were going to, get that double dip so soon. We also didn't know if we're going to see the entirety of Maximum Carnage in the Venom line, since Venom is very prominent throughout that entire show, or entire story arc. So, so I took a look at the Venomnibuses, and the material in Carnage Unleashed and the material in Volume 4. It's a perfect break. The material that's in Volume 4 is a perfect break from what comes right after Volume 2, which means there is definitely enough space in Volume 3 of Venom Epic Collection to have the entirety of Maximum Carnage yet again. So, because that story is going to be in Carnage Epic Collection Volume 1, which is coming out in March, they're going to sit on Volume 3 for a little while, I'm sure. There's no way that they're going to put out these 2 books at pretty much the same time, within the same year. So we'll see that a little bit later. And then I'm sure they picked this volume in particular because Carnage is prominently on the cover, and he's kind of the flavor of the week once again because of that movie. Let's see. We got some good comments here. Any idea if Marvel is interested in picking up the G.I. Joe license? I love those in epic format. I don't know if it was just a rumor, but I thought that Skybound was angling for the Hasbro license. I don't know. I don't remember if that's true or not, but I don't think Marvel is very interested in licensed properties anymore. They'll go for Conan because that's such a big part of their actual history as a publisher, and Star Wars, of course, because Disney owns them. But anything, even like G.I. Joe and Transformers, it it is part of their history, but not a huge part. I don't think that they're going to care much about trying to get those licenses. Let's see here. Such a shame that Sergeant Fury and Shield Masterworks aren't in demand. I would love to see all of them in epics. Yeah, me too. Maximum double dip is actually maximum triple dip because we already have it in Spider-Man Epic Collections, and we're going to get it in Carnage Epic Collections, and then it looks like we're going to get it in Venom Epic Collections as well. Pretty ridiculous, but Phil says the same thing. Okay, Taylor Talks Comics says Skybound is trying to get Hasbro, but nothing has been announced yet. So yeah, I was right about that there. Tom says, I would love to see Indiana Jones epics. Yes, I would really like to see that too. Um, I believe that there is some sort of licensing issue with that as well, because Paramount still somehow owns a stake in the ownership of Indiana Jones. But if they can work that out, that would be great. But again, Marvel doesn't seem too interested in putting effort into getting licenses. They just kind of take licenses as they come, like the Aliens and Predator stuff. Maximum dippage. There you go. That's better. Is there any hope for Alpha Flight? There's definitely hope for Alpha Flight. I think that's one of the last, other than the Spider titles, that's one of the last remaining long-running Marvel series in the classic era of Marvel Comics. So they've got to get that eventually. Uh, maybe it would speed up if we saw any of the Alpha Flight characters appear in a movie. Where's our Alpha Flight movie? Come on. That's what I want to see. Uncle Johnny says there are a lot of good Dark Horse indie comics, Indiana Jones comics, that need to be reprinted. Yeah, not only just the Marvel series, the further adventures of Indiana Jones, but yeah, the Dark Horse world has a lot to offer there too. Um, okay, what else am I excited about this one? Let's have a look here. Yeah, we've talked about this Moon Knight already. Now, I kind of suspected, well, actually, I've known that this was coming for a long time, but haven't been able to say anything. Marvel kept on pushing it and pushing it. I think probably because Moon Knight, the series, the TV series itself, kept getting pushed because of COVID and filming delays and such. But it's nice to get this confirmation, and I suspected it was coming because the Moon Knight omnibus that was announced, collected the Fist of Khonshu series, the mini series from 1985, and so I was like, okay, well, if that's going past this period, then I bet the epics will go past this period too. Alpha Flight, Alpha Flight. There's Alpha Flight. So there is actually a joke in an Alf. I don't have my Alf comics accessible at the moment, but there is a comic where Alf meets the ex-mailman, and then he said, and they kick him out, and he says, "Okay, well, I'm going to start my own Alpha Flight." Alf. So he does make that joke. Look at this! I have a special guest here. Taylor Talks Comics. Alpha Flight. Alpha. So he does make that joke. Taylor, I'm going to have to ask you to turn down your volume because I can hear your
Oh, hold
computer
on.
volume
Okay.
there.
I think I got the audio fixed there.
No problem.
Oh, hold on. Okay.
Is the Sasquatch Elf fight in Epic number 7?
Is that better?
No problem. Once the audio catches up, I think
there's like
probably
a delay too.
No, it's your YouTube.
Is that better?
Can you? If I can hear your YouTube video.
I think there's like a delay.
You have the window open. No, it's your YouTube. I'm just going to mute your mic for just a second. I want you to check to see if your YouTube window is open. Is it playing? Because I can hear that, and that's causing a little. It's coming through your microphone. Axel asks, "Is the Sasquatch Hulk fight in Hulk Epic 7? That's the one with Wendigo, right? With Wendigo, or however you pronounce that. That's the first appearance of Wolverine, so that will be here in Epic number 7." That's the one with Wendigo, right? No, I can still hear the YouTube video in your through your microphone. I can still hear the.
What's going on?
Through your microphone.
Hold on.
So I just need you to mute your YouTube video. Oh, he'll come back in a little bit. Let's see, another comment here. I was also pleased to see that the first volume of Defenders, which was the ascension of the MCU Doctor Strange, is still a possibility as a team film successor to the Avengers films. Yeah, that's, they could do that. Doctor Strange and Bruce Banner, and if they get a Namor and a Submariner in the MCU, and like Valkyrie's already in the MCU, we have a Hellstrom from the TV series. We could try and bring him over, and then who else is on the Defenders? There's a lot of possibilities there. I think that would be really cool to see this version of the Defenders in the movies. Damn, I don't like seeing Mark Spector Moon Knight tacked on with Fist of Khonshu. I was doing my own planning out of the epics and trying to keep it separate. And it starts with volume 5. Yeah, I just don't think there's enough material in the middle there to get it. It would be a pretty skinny epic collection. I think they want to bulk it up a bit. But we'll take it. We'll take it. And remember, the volume 1 of Moon Knight had 4 issues of the ongoing series. So it kind of that's kind of how they're doing it. All of these tie-ins for epics in MCU, and Master of Kung Fu 3 is left out. Yep. So sad. No Hellcat or Nighthawk in the MCU yet. Well, Patsy Walker's in the Netflix shows, so we could have they could bring her over if we brought over um, Charlie Cox in the as Daredevil and in Kingpin in the Hawkeye show. Then we could get Trish Walker to be in a Defenders TV show, especially since they gave her powers by the end of Jessica Jones. That would be awesome if we saw Patsy Walker in the She-Hulk TV show. That would be great. Okay, he says he got to figure it out, but can't find the link here. Let me post the link in the comments again for you. Isn't Namor coming to the Black Panther movie? I think that's just a rumor. I don't know that we've actually had that confirmed yet. So that would be great if he is, but who knows? Oh, here's a great comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, please do. I would love some subscribers. I'm just over 1,000 subscribers, and I'm nowhere near mint condition, which is like over 10,000 subscribers or something, 15,000. Trying to get up there, so every subscribe helps. That's for sure. Taylor Talks Comics.
All right, let's try this again. Can you hear me now?
You're here. That is much better. Thank you for
Okay.
figuring that out. Technology, you know.
I know. I'm obviously the professional here. The thing I want to ask you about, Kurtis, though, is I feel like David kind of dropped a bomb on us with the complete collections news.
Ah, yeah.
About complete collections eventually becoming epics. Like, I feel like that the possibilities are now like open forever.
And I think we're already starting to see that. Books like Killraven and even Carnage or Hawkeye, the books that typically would probably fall under a complete collection banner a few years ago are already making their way into epics instead. And so I think that moving forward, because the branding has become so strong, that's where they're going to place their effort. They're just suckering people like me in because I'll buy it because it says Epic Collection.
I know. Are you going to have the space for all this now? I feel like the library has.
Yeah, I know. I have to. I'm having to hide books behind books. That kind of stuff.
It seemed like it was a very nice and succinct. Like the volume 1 of every character was going to be like an epic, but now like that he's saying that. It seems like it could go beyond that. I know that maybe Omar's alluding to like older material, like the Tomb of Dracula and whatnot, but I feel like that's going to expand into future volumes too.
Yeah, well, and we've already seen the Epic collections have more of a focus on the 90s as well, with the stuff like Generation X and Venom, Deadpool, Carnage. Like all of that stuff is like, yeah. People were asking, what is the decade distribution of these announcements? And it's like, we don't have any 60s books represented in this round of announcements. We've got like 2 or 3, I think, from the 70s. We got Conan, and we have Defenders and Hulk from the 70s, but the rest is 80s and 90s. And that's just because Marvel didn't publish that many books back in the 60s. And now they're pretty much all collected in Epic collections. So everything left is now 80s and 90s. And if they want to keep the 80s and 90s alive, they're going to have to if they want to keep the Epic collections alive, they're going to have to either start bringing in more 70s stuff like Tomb of Dracula that already has a complete collection, or get to the really obscure stuff. I want them to get to like let's get some Kid Colt or Two Gun Kid Epic collections, Patsy Walker Epic collections.
Yeah, some of those romance comics from that even bled into the Silver Age a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Well, how about you? What are you excited about here, Taylor?
I think the one you have on the screen here, Moon Knight, is the one I'm most excited about from these announcements.
Yeah.
I was hoping for Luke Cage. I was even reading Luke Cage Volume 1 because I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if has it been officially announced, first of all, the Power Man Iron Fist Volume 4?
It has, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So when that comes out, I think Luke Cage Volume 2 would wrap up all of the Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Power Man epics, right?
Yes, it would. It would be the last piece of that puzzle. And I was hoping it would come in 2022, but with some of those shorter titles, they seem to have a biannual release schedule. So if Luke Cage comes out one year, it's going to skip a year before it shows up the next year. And I think that Namor is in that same boat. So hopefully we will see them in 2013. I was also hoping for another Punisher volume. We didn't see another Punisher either.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess you did say there was 3. The 70s Marvel is the decade that I'm like most interested in right now. And Defenders, I've been waiting for Steve Gerber to be collected because his run on Defenders, besides Masterworks, hasn't been collected in Epic or Omnibus format yet. They've skipped it. In Epics, they've done the afterwards, and then Omnibus, they've done the first volume or whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's a little bit in the middle there. I was convinced because the Omnibus came out just recently. I was like, oh man, the Epics, it would be great if they just jumped right to the Gerber stuff, right in the middle. Like
that's exactly what I was hoping for. It's like they just start with Gerber, and then you kind of have it all pieced together a little bit there, maybe some holes, but
my guess is that those issues have not been restored yet. They probably haven't been scanned and cleaned up and recolored. So they're going to do that when the Omnibus. So the thing about the Epics is they don't put a lot of effort into restoring in Epic collections. They take material that is already available to them. So that's why Volume 1 is coming out, because they've already done the work in the Masterworks and the Omnibus.
Have the Masterworks, the Masterworks for the Defenders not come out up to that point?
For Volume 1?
For Gerber.
Oh, for Gerber, yeah. I don't think that they've reached that point yet.
I think that, it looks like they have Volume 8 on Amazon.
Oh, wow. They're plowing right ahead there.
Quite a bit, though.
Okay, well, there you go. Then I don't know. I don't know what the reason is there. Could be any. Hey, it's Hip Hop Happens says, Merry Snow Day, Vancouver. Right? Yeah, we got snow last night. I woke up to snow on my front yard. Wasn't very much, a couple of centimeters, but February snow is not common here, so it was.
We got a little bit. I'm in Indiana, so we got a little bit last night, but
oh yeah, nice.
Not too much. So Moon Knight, how many more volumes do you think we could have after this?
The Moon Knight series, how long did Mark Spector Moon Knight go for?
I think not too much long. I mean, I think it'd be like maybe 2 more volumes after this. I don't know. Maybe 1 more.
Mark Spector Moon Knight. Let's have a look here. Someone already knows the answer to this, I'm sure.
I know.
60 issues. There's
wow. Much more
issues of Moon Knight. So that's you could get easily volumes of Moon Knight then of Mark Spector from that. And it depends on if they want to include anything like Moon Knight was on West Coast Avengers for a while. Yeah. And he had some of his story continues there, so they might put some of those issues in. He'll show up. He'll cross over to a few different books over the years, and so I wonder if they'll include any of that. Plus he had his annuals as well. So I bet we could get maybe 4 more volumes out of Moon Knight.
Wow!
Now that
it is interesting how they collect those, because he had Avengers appearances, but the one that I found interesting was Black Panther. So they only did 3 epics for him.
Yeah.
And they had no Avengers appearances, but in the Volume 1 omnibus of the early years, they're calling it, they have a lot of his Avengers appearances in there. So it's interesting that they decided to collect that in the omnibus format when you think they would have done it in the epic, which is usually more complete, I guess.
So the very first volume of the Black Panther came out before Marvel had decided to be so all-encompassing like that. The including every single issue and like half issues to tell their story, like Black Widow, that really only started in the last couple of years. And so and that's why the Wolverine epic collection starts with his his ongoing series rather than his limited series or even first appearance.
Yeah, that was a weird one too. It was the Wolverine one.
If they were doing those now, I think they would have a different philosophy on how they would issue those first volumes for Black Panther and for Wolverine.
That's interesting. I guess I always assumed that was the goal from the beginning, was to be all encompassing. But
well, the goal from the beginning was to be all encompassing in terms of the regular title and annuals. Those were the only things that were given that would be in an epic collection, and then and graphic novels, I guess. But as they've progressed, as it's evolved over the years, they've kind of changed their tune in that sense.
Yeah. One line I've been waiting for is Inhumans, but I know they released those 3 like complete collections or whatever. But now, I mean, maybe
with what David Gabriel said.
Yeah, maybe. But I think that's going to take a MCU appearance, which is a whole nother story because they've already tried that once and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's why those complete collections came out in the first place. Was they coincided with the Inhumans TV show. But yeah, because that bombed, I don't think that they're in any hurry to jump back on that bandwagon.
Yeah, and I need to get those complete collections because it has that early Kirby stuff that really hasn't been collected. It was I forget what the title was. It was the one with the Black Widow and Inhumans together.
Yeah, Amazing Adventures, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That Kirby stuff, that's the first time that's been collected, I believe.
There is a Masterworks of that. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
Is it? Where is that stuff? I have that on my shelf somewhere. I don't know where, but yeah, they there's a Kirby series, and then there was like the series with Neil Adams, and but there's also like there's backup stories from Thor that told kind of the origin of the Inhumans. Those are in that book as well. There's a lot of very cool stuff. Okay, I've got someone else in my queue here, so I'm gonna let you go, Taylor. Thanks for joining my call.
Yeah.
Taylor Talks Comics. Check them out.
Thank you.
See ya. And let's see who we have here. We have John from Dying Breed Collectors.
What's up, man? Can you hear me? Does that work?
I can hear you just fine.
Excellent. Do you remember last time maybe you don't, it was a while ago, but I used my phone and like I was upside down when it started and so I used my computer today. Way better.
Awesome. It looks great. So you are from Dying Breed Collectors, and I remember I did a little box opening for with some of your stuff that you had sent me a few months ago, and it was nice to get a nice solid package from you. It was great.
Yeah, good. I forgot about that. Genuinely, I forgot about that. I'm not trying to like play that up right now. I totally forgot I sent you. Yeah, so did you dig the packaging? That does matter to me. Like, of course it matters. Cool.
Yeah, it matters to a lot of collectors who buy this stuff. It's very, very solid.
You know what? I do want to say I do that nobody else does when I do send stuff is I put them in a poly bag. Did you notice that? Like I sent them in a poly bag. I think that's way more caring because even when I have them in storage here, it's just better for the longevity of them to keep them in those bags. So
yeah, I mean, it was in a poly bag, then you wrapped it in bubbles, and then you put it in a box, and you put that box in another box with the packing peanuts.
Well, I don't know what they do on the international. They're just tossing it from one plane to another in midair. I don't know. So I got to make sure it's ready for everything.
Well, and you never know with international shipping as well. Like when you get to customs, it's a very good chance that if they're curious what's inside, they will open that box and they'll take their X-Acto knife and they'll just go right down the tape. And so like the fact that you layered it like that was actually really good for international shipping.
Well, it's good when you've been a collector yourself and you've bought stuff off eBay and you've, like you just said, I've opened stuff and like sliced into a package. I mean, action figures, books, and you just don't want to do that. You need that layer. So thanks for that.
Wow.
Appreciate it. So let's talk epics, dude. Let's talk some epic collections. Are you excited, man? Did this announcement did it get you going? Did you get stuff you wanted? Is there stuff missing that you wanted to see? What's going on? How are you feeling?
So I thought that this was I listed my predictions on my Epic Collection Facebook group of what I thought was coming, and I was about 50% right. So
really?
A lot of it was what I expected, and a lot of them were a little surprises. Like the Venom one was a surprise. Spider-Man, I wasn't sure if they were going to go with the volume 23, which was the first appearance of Carnage. So I was guessing like maybe 24. So I'm glad I got that one right as well. I'm glad that we are getting, one of the biggest surprises for me was Executioner's Song as well, of course, because this is double dip. Anything past 21, I have no idea where the X-Men Epic collections are going to stop. But now that they have included this volume, I'm guessing they're going to go at least until Age of Apocalypse, if not.
I think that's the cutoff. That makes sense to me. Yeah, and I'm actually really glad that it looks like they're going to keep adjectiveless X-Men just within Uncanny instead of making that its own line. Like, it makes sense with Spectacular and like Web of to split those in the different lines, except for when they directly cross over. But for X-Men, I mean, I think it'd be kind of crappy because you'd have like a 2-volume run to get those 37 issues, 38 issues before Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it'd be a reprinting of that Skinny of the Souls, right?
Yeah, so this one, this Executioner Song epic is going to collect up to issue 16, and then Skinny of the Souls has issues 17 to 24.
Right.
And so that will be in the next volume. And then I think the wedding. Whoops, the wedding. What is this one here? X-Men Uncanny X-Men 308. Oh, so this comes a little bit later. What? There must be
I think there's a gap
issues in the middle here.
Yeah.
Are they these ones here? What do I have up here? Oh.
What just happened?
Technical difficulties. I'm back. That was weird. Johnny, you're gonna have to join my stream again, because I don't know what happened there. My computer sort of went a little wonky on me. So, but here's the link again. I'm still here, everybody. Okay. In trade paperbacks, there is a little bit of the Blood Ties era of X-Men hasn't really been well collected. So I'm hoping that they'll at least get to the Blood Ties section. I mean, I know that Blood Ties will eventually, hopefully, appear in an Avengers epic collection, but oh, here's John again. There, you're back.
Sorry, I don't know if that was me or what happened there.
I got cut off as well, but we're back now.
We're back. All right, very good.
Looking to the future of the X-Men epic collections, as far as everything up to Age of Apocalypse, I think, has been collected in oversized hardcover.
That's correct.
But as far as trades is concerned, there are these issues around X-Men number 21, and then there's the Blood Tie stuff that had an old trade paperback that's long out of print, and we haven't seen that for a while. So I'm hoping that we'll get that stuff pretty soon too.
Yeah, I mean, once they went past with the Bishop's Crossing, I mean, I really kind of was like, I don't know, we knew this, or we talked about this last time, but before they announced Bishop's Crossing, we didn't know if they were going to go past that. So now that they have, I really think there's no reason they wouldn't do Blood Ties. Like, that would actually be a really great title for that volume when it comes out. That actually would make a lot of sense.
I think so. Blood Ties will eventually be in an Avengers epic collection as well, but I think that it's...
They don't mind double dipping. Clearly.
I don't mind, yeah. I mean, if we're going to get maximum cards 3 times, they'll do this anyway.
Yeah, and I'm actually I'm impartial to Executioner's Song because the original trade paperback was the first X-Men trade I ever got, like, as a little kid.
Yeah, I had that one too.
Yeah, nice, dude. That's so cool. I remember my parents taking me to like freaking Barnes and Noble, and we had to special order it because they didn't have like an X-Men book on the shelf in whatever year that was, like the early 2000s. So anytime I see that book printed, I'm like, that one hits me in the feels. I like it.
I think for a lot of us who are, late 30s, I'm 40 now. The Executioner's Song is pretty much when we were at our formative comic book collecting age, and so that story, that era of X-Men, it's a big deal for us.
Yeah, when I was a kid, the issue 296, which is the last issue in that volume that just got announced, I had that single issue, and that was one of the only single issues I had. And I can remember reading it like a million times, like that type of story, and always wondering like what happened around it, like what happened before, what happened after. So that's why I wanted that trade as a kid. But yeah, like you just said, that's like around that time where I started having like cognitive thoughts, and so I associate that era of X-Men with my childhood more than anything. Even though the pre 80s stuff is fantastic too. I'm not digging that, but that early 90s, right in the feels, man.
Totally. Yeah. Here's a comment. Uncle Johnny says 6 times, referring to Maximum Carnage and Epic Collection. 6 times, assuming they ever make spectacular, web, and adjectiveless Spider-Man epics. So that was when the Epic lines were first started. That was something that I was like, you know what, Maximum Carnage is an evergreen story. They will always be reprinting that story. So yeah. They could just do that. Absolutely.
Do you think that they will ever reprint a standalone trade paperback again, just called Maximum Carnage, with just that? Because the Epic Collection, doesn't that also include some like runoff before or after, or is it strictly the event? Do you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. So the Spider-Man Epic Collection has a special graphic novel at the end of it, called Designer Genes with Sabretooth or something that has nothing to do with the story. So yeah, that's a bonus. The Carnage Epic Collection is going to have the 3-part Carnage origin story, which that kind of relates, so that makes sense.
Does that also include, it's going to have like the 344, 345 segments with Cletus Cassidy, right?
Yes, they'll have the subplot pages in there too, I think.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, as far as what you're saying about just a standalone trade, I think that they probably will at some point, because it just on the strength of the name, because the Carnage Epic Collection is branded Carnage, and it's not called Epic Collection, it's called Born in Blood. So that one is not, if someone's doing a search for it on Amazon or whatever, it's not going to come up.
That's a good point.
So they will.
Yeah, I don't know. When this was originally coming out, I for sure thought like that Epic would replace any future printings, but you bring up some good points, because like, but you know, I was just gonna say the Infinity Gauntlet still has its own standalone, but that was never actually included in any Epic, is it?
No, it wasn't. Yeah,
do you think it would have made sense to include it in like Silver Surfer, or like it's cool not being in there? I mean, it still makes sense without it, but you know what I mean.
For Silver Surfer, it's a hard one for Silver Surfer, because he actually, for like half of the miniseries, he just kind of watches from the outer edge of space and doesn't do anything. So I think there's no one character who kind of takes the center stage in that miniseries for it to be in somebody's book. Totally.
Now, what if they do the Thanos omnibus, Infinity Origin? What if they split that into 2 epic collections like they did with Morbius and Captain Marvel, and they do a Thanos epic? Would you include it in volume 2? Probably.
Well, absolutely. I don't even think
that makes sense.
It would be more like volume 4, I think, because if they were doing a Thanos epic collection, they'd start all the way back and do like the Captain Marvel stuff, do like, you know, the Marvel 2-in-1.
Yeah, isn't that all the stuff from the isn't that all in that omnibus? You probably don't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So they would. Oh yeah, you mean omnibus number 2, Thanos Omni 2?
No. It's still, because if you took the omnibus, wouldn't you just split that into 2 epics, and then doesn't that lead like right into Infinity Gauntlet? I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So depending on how thick they are, whatever, it doesn't matter. We need to split hairs over that. But
a couple of people are saying it could be in a Warlock epic collection. That would make sense to me. Absolutely. Putting all of the Infinity stuff in a Warlock epic collection, that would be kind of cool, because Warlock, you could get, like, of course, the original old series, and then you'd get like his Silver Surfer appearances when he comes back, and then the Infinity stuff, and then he has his own title, Warlock Chronicles and Warlock and the Infinity Watch. All of that could be in one giant epic collection. That would completely make sense. And
there we go.
If Warlock is coming into the MCU, that wouldn't be out of realm of possibility at all.
Yeah, that's when they should release it.
Yep.
So last thing I wanted to ask you about, because I'm sure you got other people, I don't want to take up too much more time, but I was a little shocked that we didn't get a Punisher one. That's one of my favorite epic lines. I mean, you know, you're not going to get what you want every time, so I'm not like mad or anything, but like, is it just me, or has it been kind of a while since we got a Punisher one? It feels like it's been a while.
It has been a while, but we got 2 kind of back to back. We got
that's true.
What were those 2 books? What are they called here?
I've actually got your spreadsheet right in front of me. So probably, was it Return to Big Nothing and maybe Jigsaw Puzzle?
Yeah, it was. These 2 right here. These 2 came out pretty close by each other, and this one is the most recent, I think.
That's a good point.
And so I don't know if I guess they're just taking a little bit of a break. There's just a couple more volumes to go for
Right.
Punisher. We just got one last year, so we're not going to see one this year. So hopefully we'll see another one in 2013 or
Do you think they'll
2023.
do War Journal and Warzone and whatever?
I would love to see that.
Why not? They're doing Spectacular. Or they're going to do Spectacular Spider-Man. Like, we don't know it, but come on, we all know they're doing that. Like, why do we step around it sometimes? Like, well, maybe one day. It's like, bro, Masterworks Omnibus. Come, they're doing an epic. Like, let's be real.
So yeah, and Peter Gabriel has specifically said. Peter, I said Peter Gabriel. David Gabriel.
Yeah, wait, who's Peter Gabriel? That's like a singer, right?
Yeah, from Genesis. You don't know Peter Gabriel? Not
the top of my head.
David Gabriel had that won't be the only time I make that mistake, I'm sure.
That's funny.
David Gabriel has specifically said that Spectacular and Web of Spider-Man epics are coming in the pipeline. So we just have to be patient. We will see those happen. And you're right. If that happens, I don't see why not Punisher Warzone. Chicago. From Peter Gabriel from Chicago. It's Phil Collins is from Genesis. I'm mixing up my classic rocks.
You mean the band Chicago? I thought you meant Chicago. Like the city, because I'm from Chicago, and I'm like, wait, what? That's so weird. I didn't know he was from here. That's so funny.
Yeah, we got West Coast Avengers, and so Punisher Warzone, Punisher, all of those ones.
Would you put them together though, like how Uncanny and X-Men are together? Would you team up Warzone and War Journal?
From a selling point, I think that would probably be the smartest move. I don't know, like Punisher is fairly popular, but he's not the same kind of seller as like X-Men or whatever.
Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man having 3 titles in epic format makes sense. I get what you're saying. Punisher 3, that's a little bit of a stretch for your average fan, I would say.
Okay, hold on a second. Phil says Peter Gabriel is definitely Genesis. That's what I thought. So
this is awesome.
But this is not a music live stream. I know my comics better than I know my music. You talk about 90s alternative rock, and I'm right there. I can talk about all of that, but anything older than that is I have a general knowledge of old rock music. But I'm all about Smashing Pumpkins and Foo Fighters.
Wait, Smashing Pumpkins, they are from here. That I know. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, they are a Chicago band
for sure. Yeah. So, all right, well, dude, get to somebody else because I'm sure you got more people waiting. And like,
sure.
I love talking epics with you. So thanks for giving me the time and everything. And I'll see you next time.
One more shout out for dyingbreedcollectors.com. Check him out. He's got some good stuff there. And you just told me, actually, before you go, you told me you stocked up big time on epic collections. You showed me some pictures of all of the epics that you bought. You've got like boxes and boxes of epic collections ready to sell to people. So if you're looking,
my wife hates me so much right now, dude. Yeah, I mean, quite literally 400 or 500s. I mean, duplicates of many, but yes, I mean, anything that was available for me to order, I ordered.
Okay.
So check out the website. I mean, I'm still uploading them because there's so much, but thank you for the plug. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
It's a lot. So, all right. We'll see you guys around.
Yep. See you, Johnny.
Peace.
Bye. That was great. In honor of Peter Gabriel, Marvel should release a Sledgehammer collection. Sledgehammer was a 2-issue series that was kind of based on a TV show or something, right? That would be so funny. The licensing issues with that one for sure. Yeah, okay. Eventually, Punisher Epics will collect War Journal and War Zone for the Suicide Run and Countdown storylines. That's true. We will get those few issues in there. But yeah, if you want the whole thing, there was one Punisher War Journal. I guess they called it by Jim Lee. War Journal by Jim Lee. But they never did anything past that. Man, we're talking about music now. Foo Fighters just released a thrash metal album. They'll try whatever. And they have a horror movie coming out. They are starring in an actual, slasher horror movie. And I'm very excited about that. But come on, let's talk about Epic Collections. I'll share this screen again. Actually, I'm going to put the link back in to join my stream back in the comments here. If any of you want to come on my stream and chat with me about Epic Collections, there's the link for you. I just love that you are flooding my feed with music. Yeah, Uncle Johnny, that's okay. We all make mistakes. I was making mistakes too. Okay. Where's my screen? I'm going to bring up this slide deck again. Let's talk about Tomb of Dracula a little bit. Share screen. Let's get this back here, and let's get back to this Tomb of Dracula slide, because I was so surprised. We were all wondering if there would be Tomb of Dracula Volume 6, and what would it include? So here we go. I think that there's definitely a potential for Volume 7. There is that Tomb of Dracula miniseries in the 90s by Roy Thomas. They could definitely put that in there. There are lots of different appearances where Dracula just shows up for a story, especially with the Midnight Sun stuff in the 90s. He was in a Generation X annual, believe it or not. Phil says he's stoked, or should he say stokered, for Tomb of Dracula Volume 6. Love it. Tomb of Dracula, Howard the Duck, and Man-Thing epics would be awesome. Yeah, all of those have complete collections. So if we could just fold those into the epic lines, I bought them all, but I would probably buy them again and sell off these old ones if they did epic collections. Jose says, what's the deal? What's with the Daniel Way Volume 2 reprint? Is there a huge market for that? And did they reprint Volume 1? I actually don't know. In fact, I'm pretty sure Volume 2 is still readily available, but it was in the list that Marvel sent us, so we stuck it in the slideshow. Yeah. It's good to see Dracula in Volume 6, but I like to think that Volume 7 has the 4-issue miniseries, the 3-issue Lord of the Undead, and the Dracula Generation X annual. Yeah, that's what I was saying too. Yeah, and wasn't there a Death of Dracula? Was that a miniseries, or was that just reprinting old issues? I can't remember. Taylor says Dying Breed just had Moon Knight Volume 1. He just bought it from him. Good. Well, I'm glad that you're able to give him some business. It's tough being a startup, and John Warner trying to be a startup company in the comic business is not easy. So thanks for helping him out. Okay, some more about Dracula. Day of Blood, Night of Redemption was by Wolfman. That's what it was. Okay, Wolfman and Gene Colan too. It would fit right in. Wolfman was the original writer on Tomb of Dracula. Or sorry, not the original writer. He was the primary writer for Dracula, so that would fit right in. That's what it was. Midnight Suns is going to be a video game soon, so let's see if we can get something released then. That would be great. I know that they are re-releasing a Spirits of Vengeance Ghost Rider standalone trade paperback to coincide with with that video game. Oh, there's my answer. Death of Dracula was a reprint. Yeah. Okay. Taylor says Volume 1 of Moon Knight is quickly going out of print. Just a warning to others. That is, yeah, and that's a reprint itself. We got a second printing of Volume 1 recently, and like Omar said in his video, the reprinting is really expensive. Most companies are not inclined to reprint because the print runs have to be way smaller, and when you have a smaller print run, because you're not buying in bulk, the cost per volume goes up. So publishers are not as inclined to do reprints. Marvel will only do them, if people are really, really demanding them, and they think that they'll sell. There's so many things to consider with reprints. First of all, majority of the people who wanted it got it the first time around, so there isn't as much demand, even though it seems like there's demand. And then, like I said, the cost per unit goes up because you're buying in smaller print runs because the demand isn't as high. And then it's like, are we really going to have to store these books again in their warehouse or wherever they store books? So that all of that has to be taken into consideration when they reprint. I work with the Library of American Comics, and they we're not reprinting anything. That's mostly IDW's decision. IDW doesn't want to reprint anything for these very reasons. The comic strip business, which is what Library of American Comics does, it's a very, very small market. And so to reprint stuff is going to be very, very small reprint runs, like second printings, third printings. It's just not worth it. Unfortunately, it's too expensive. Instant Badass says, I want more Sergeant Fury and some Invaders, and then the Nam. Wow, yeah. So I can see you like your war comics. That would be great. That would be great to have. Invaders, they did those 2 epic size complete collections. That could be an epic at some point. Nam would be fantastic. They started that series, and they did 3 trade paperbacks that only had, like, 8 to 10 issues in it, I think, maybe, or maybe it was just 6 issues in it. But they didn't get very far in that series, and the Nam went on a very long time. The only other place you can find Nam reprints are in Punisher. There's a Punisher in the Nam collection. That's about it. Yeah, third print of Iron Fist, very cool. I'm actually very surprised, very, very surprised that Iron Fist is getting another printing. Just blows my mind. What's with the epics with at least a second reprinting? Yeah, you're talking about the Iron Fist one? What is with that? Okay, can you tell me about how many more epics until Hickman's Reign of X? Yeah, we've probably got a good, like, 60 volumes to go there, so a little bit more to go there. I'm confused. Wasn't Death of Dracula a one-shot that continued in the Curse of the Mutant storylines? I have to admit I am not familiar. Maybe someone can do Google on me on that one. Not sure. Phil Owen says the second print was a very poor quality quad, so that makes sense. Yeah, that is true. Something to take into consider was that was the only reprint that came out in that period where Quad Graphics was doing some really, really awful print jobs. With Moon Knight expanding to 4 volumes, do you see Black Panther doing the same? Yeah, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all. The third Black Panther Epic Collection, let's see, where is that one on my shelf here? This one gets us all the way to 1994. So I think that, and then Black Panther gets a kind of a reboot for Marvel Knights in 97. So I don't know how much content there is between 1994 and 1997 that is Black Panther specific. But we could get a volume 4. I would love to see that. So far we haven't seen any Marvel Knights material in the Epic collections, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. Actually, that might be a lie. Did we see any Wolverine Marvel Knights stuff in any of the Wolverine Epic collections? I'm not sure, because that definitely goes over that period. Yeah, Taylor says I could see them reprinting the Priest, Hudlin, Black Panther complete collections as epics. Also possible, definitely. Each NAM trade only had 4 issues, so only 12, which were collected in magazine form. Everything after that hasn't been collected except those Punisher issues. I'm pretty sure, actually, that they did some other NAM ones that had more issues than just 4. Because you're talking like the old trades that had like the yellow cover on them, right? Let me just look that up, because I'm certain that they went beyond just the first 12 issues. Nam, Marvel. Okay, so yes, there is a collection that the first volume collects issues 1 to 10. The Nam Volume 2 has issues 11 to 20, and Nam Volume 3 has issues 21 to 30. So yeah, the first 30 issues of the Nam have been collected. I have the last two. I have Volume 2 and Volume 3 somewhere. I don't think that they're accessible at the moment. I've had to rejigger my my bookshelves to fit more books, so a lot of my lesser known Marvel trades are hiding behind the Epic collections right now. I can't get them very easily. Okay, let's see here. Do you foresee War Machine Forceworks in an Iron Man 19 or as a separate line? Well, Forceworks is a continuation of West Coast Avengers. So if anywhere, we'll see Forceworks as like the final volume of Avengers West Coast. War Machine, I think. So War Machine is going to be taking center stage in an upcoming Disney Plus show. That I think is the perfect time for War Machine Epic Collections. So I'm going to put money on that we'll see War Machine reprints when that series comes out. That's the Armor Wars series, I believe, right? Because I think Rhodey is headlining that. Second movie is coming later this year, and Everett Ross first appeared in Priest's Black Panther, so a Volume 4 is definitely a possibility. And a lot of the Epic collections, I would say majority of the Epic collection decisions are based on how they tie into other properties and how they can, bounce off of the promotion of the other properties. So that's a very good possibility. Would you buy, for example, the Priest Black Panther epics in case they are exactly like the complete collections and you already had them? That's up to you. Yeah, I mean, for me, I like the consistency of the branding, so I would probably rebuy them. I haven't actually bought those ones, those complete collections in the first place, so I would just get them. But okay, a little correction on the death of Dracula. Yes, it was a 2010 heroic age thing. And Phil says he was thinking the wedding of Dracula. Okay. Oh yeah. So Instant Badass, I would recommend trying to pick up those Nam collections. They're not scarce. I think you could probably find them pretty easily. Yeah, it looks like you could order one off of Amazon from the third party, the marketplace for like $10 each. So that's good. I like those stories. I like that the concept of the Nam, kind of like each issue is a month into the war as they go along. Very cool stuff. Maybe a Stark Wars reprint would coincide with the Armor Wars TV show. Very true. I think that's a good idea. I would upgrade CC to epics. That's what I like to hear. Very good. Oh boy. Okay, anything else we should talk about these collections? How excited are you about the Iron Man Heroes Return complete collections? This is a gap that needed to be filled. I think we determined in Omar's stream that there is a Iron Man by Joe Quesada that starts with Iron Man number 26, so right after this volume, and that leads directly into the Iron Man by Mike Grell book, which just came out recently. So yeah, this is complete. This is all we're going to get for Iron Man Heroes Return, unless they decide to rebrand the Quesada trade, which I don't know that they would do. Oh man, Instant Badass says, I can't wait to see that horrible costume change for War Machine in the back half of his run. That was when he got like the alien technology, the alien costume. They were trying some weird things there. Didn't work out. Didn't last very long. Jose says, happy with Iron Man Heroes Return Volume 2, but hoping for Avengers Heroes Return complete collections. I think that's... So they just announced a reprint of that omnibus of that era. That was Omar announced that like yesterday, I think, or the day before. So now that Iron Man is wrapped up, Fantastic Four Heroes Return is wrapped up, and especially with the emphasis on stuff by George Perez, I'm gonna guess that we're gonna see some Avengers Heroes Return complete collections pretty soon. I don't know the month for Iron Man, but it's going to be. My guess is November, because what did David say? He said that Spider-Man and She-Hulk are going to be September. No, Spider-Man's Peter Porker Spider-Ham is September, and Tomb of Dracula is October. So I bet this is November. My guess, that's just a guess though. It'll be sometime in these months. Happy that Peter Porker Volume 2 is back in play. You know what? So am I. I have a huge fondness for all ages comics. I'll turn my camera. I've got this big bookshelf is all ages comics right on the end there for my kids to read, and I love reading them too. And so Peter Porker is right up there, and all of those Star comics. I love the licensed comics, like all the old Disney Dell and Gold Key stuff and Hanna-Barbera and whatnot. I like reading those. Are any of the Infinity series included in any epics? We touched on this a little bit earlier in the stream. They're not actually, because they don't really focus on any one particular hero. And so it was suggested by Phil Owens and a couple other people that maybe they could be folded into an Adam Warlock epic collection series, because Adam Warlock is kind of the main hero. It's kind of his story, especially with the later Infinity ones that deal with the Magus. It's all about Adam Warlock, and he keeps the Infinity Stones. So that would be really cool if we saw Warlock epic collections that started with his series in the 70s. And then when he came back to life in the 90s and he followed through with the Infinity Watch and Warlock Chronicles, those ongoing series, we'd probably get a double dip with the Thor Blood and Thunder storyline. We'll get a big double dip there. The Spider-Man guest appearance in Star Comics' Top Dog is an issue that is still very near and dear to me. Yeah, so that is let me grab that book here. I don't have the NAM accessible, but I have Top Dog accessible. So I just want everybody to know that this issue, if you are a John Buscema, or no, sorry, let me check. If you are a John Romita completist, you'll want to buy this Top Dog collection, because Spider-Man makes an appearance. And here, let me turn off my screen. All of the Spider-Man appearances here are drawn by John Romita. All of the rest of it, the Top Dog characters, are drawn by what's his name, George Kramer, or Warren Kramer, and John Romita. So if you're a completist, you're going to want to pick up this book here. Good stuff. Do you see Age of Apocalypse being collected in epic format? Well, we already know that they are not folding those series into the books. Generation X Volume 1 does not contain the 4 issues of Generation Next, and Wolverine, the Dying Game, does not include the 4 issues of Weapon X. So they are not going to do that in the individual issues. Whether they fold it into like the X-Men story, they possibly could. It would be kind of cool, but that would be 3 whole volumes of epic collections of the X-Men epics that would be devoted to Age of Apocalypse. So that's a big decision they have to make. I kind of doubt it. But you never know. Will Marvel team up or 2-in-1 Volume 2 ever see the light of day? They keep printing them in Masterworks, so they must be selling pretty good, right? Yeah, 2-in-1 Volume 2 is coming. They just keep They just keep pushing it in the schedule, but it will come. Marvel Team Up is Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is like printing money for Marvel. I'm sure that'll see the light of day at some point as well. Here's one I want to see. We need a Spidey Super Stories epic to go with your all ages collection. Just to go with your all ages collection, you understand, of course. Yeah. Come on, nothing wrong with that. Spidey Super Stories. That was the one story I remember from Spidey Super Stories is Spider-Man as a plant. He's like in a hanging basket. It's a plant Spider-Man. I don't remember really anything else from that, but okay. We've been talking for over an hour. I should probably get going because I've got a lot of stuff that I need to do with the rest of my day. But oh man, I got to finish this one more comment here. What other Star comics have they not collected that you want to see? The obvious answer is Alf, of course. And I just want to say that I am actually working really hard to try and make Alf comics collections happen, whether it's with Marvel or somebody else working behind the scenes. So hopefully we will have some, I'll have some news about that now, but who knows if that'll ever happen. But other than that, I'd love to see Wally the Wizard. Wally the Wizard is the, and there's one more. I can't remember what the last title is, but a rich kid. Those are the I would like to see all of those original Marvel Star comics collected. But then all of those licensed stuff. I have the Muppet Babies omnibus. It's the only Marvel omnibus I have, and so that's that's what I wanted. I'm happy to see that one. But all of those ones like Rocky and Bullwinkle and Strawberry Shortcake and Mad Balls, Care Bears, Thundercats, He-Man, and Masters of the Universe, all of those comics. I grew up watching cartoons in the 80s. Heathcliff was a huge one. I have all of these on DVD, and I love 80s cartoons, and I would really love to see these 80s cartoons or 80s comics come back as well in collections. That would just be fantastic. So there you go. I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to continue the conversation, you can hop over to my Facebook group. Just search for Epic Collections on Facebook. I would love to have a subscribe, and I'd love to have a like on this video because you are all amazing people. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of this. And to see us off, I will replay my theme song. See you later.